The online and offline space today is quite blurred. Cyber anthropologists would say what stayed in Vegas lives on YouTube now. And there's definitely a blurring boundary. In fact, it's quite challenging for me in personal relationships where people, I think, see my blogs and then they see me in real life and then like, oh, this is a contradiction. So the blogs definitely give more visibility to some of the action and the public politics you take. And you have much more complex social living as an individual. I think there's a little bit more consistency with my ideologies and what I advocate for in my public politics. But as any person, I have challenges on executing these values and ideas that I have. So it's an interesting dynamic, but it's also relevant because I get to, again, meet with young people who Google. You see, that's the thing. They go into Google and they type feminism in the Caribbean, and then some of my stuff could pop up, and some of the other stuff is curated by, for example, Dr. Tonya Haynes, with her word for Code Red for Gender Justice, Dr. Hosang, or Repeating Islands. They get to see content. I think the biggest intervention is when a Caribbean student Googles or goes into a search engine to search for content, what appears? And you know, what we don't want is an algorithm of exclusion. And these new feminist voices could really give some access to that. But the last part, I think, is the most powerful thing, is the power of testimony. Now, there is a testimony when people read a blog and have feedback because they usually identify through their experiences. But I'm quite inspired by the many young women in particular, also queer and lesbian women who have been leading a lot of these movements in terms of or the dialogue on looking at the power of testimony, which is so important to feminism and consciousness raising, bringing it in the online format, and that is the way they come to know and show authority on issues. So it's also cathartic in a big way. Sometimes you read a blog and like, yeah, I just needed somebody to say that. Because oftentimes our state leadership in the region do not meet the imperative of groups like us. So it's important for me to be aware of my status, my privilege, and my identity as a heterosexual, male, Trinidadian person in a Caribbean landscape, using as much dreadlocks, tattoos, and earrings I could have to advance my message in a way that they could identify with it, but also sometimes sit back and connect people to further readings on feminist women and their scholarship so I don't reproduce the same kind of privilege and colonizing cyberspace.